Hey, what's up? This is Scott with Level Up Tutorials, and in this video, we're going to be talking about some of the React router specific things you need to know to actually have your applications working and functioning like you would think they would be. And we're going to dive deep into sort of how React router is working. So let's get started right now. Okay, so we have some things set up. If you remember from the last video, we basically got this going to where we had a stateless functional component, which is a really cool shorthand that allows you to get a little bit of performance benefits, as well as we have our layout, which we're showing off here as our stateless functional component. We're using that within our routes. Let's go ahead and add an about component here so we can see this in action. In our app component, we really just have a div, and then we have the main area right here. You know, this HTML could use some work. Technically, we should probably take this button, throw it inside of the main area, and then just nuke out this div, right? Because why do we need this extra div in here? There we go. And what we want to do for the about page is really just have a page, right? So let's go ahead and in our client folder, let's go make a new folder named, and this can just be simply pages. I'm having it named pages because really this is going to be for sort of non-dynamic content, stuff like an about page, right? So inside of pages, we'll have about.js. Okay, and let's go ahead and just copy some stuff from app.js. Actually, I wanted to capitalize about.js, so let me do that in the way I keep things consistent here. Okay, about.js, all good. Now I want to go ahead and simply just import React. I don't even have to have anything other than React really in here. And because this is just some non-dynamic content, let's go ahead and exercise our functional stateless component once more. So we can do that simply by having a constant variable named whatever our component is going to be named. So about, and that's going to equal, and we can just do an arrow function. Notice how this time we're not going to be passing anything in to our arrow function. Now in the last one, we just had it written like this. Now I'm going to show you a nice little shorthand even for this. This isn't even the shortest this can be. Sometimes if you have a functional stateless component where you're doing some if, thens, thus kind of stuff, where you're needing to do a little bit of conditional work before you're outputting something, then you'll need to have a return like we did before. But just based on the way that arrow functions work, we don't need a return, and we don't even need brackets if we're just returning the only thing here. Now to do that, we can simply just go on a new line, and let's go ahead and have a main tag here. Main, okay. And inside of this, we can just simply have, let's have an h1 that is about us. Now inside of here, we could simply just have, what would be a paragraph tag, and grab some hipster ipsum or something. Okay, and let's just paste that in here. Should actually do this in separate paragraphs. Any way that works for you. And you don't need to even do this. I'm just putting it in here so we have something. But this is really not important right now. Okay. Beautiful. But as you can see, this is a little bit of shorthand here. Before we had to have, let's compare this to this. Before we had the brackets and the return parentheses like this. And we had our about. And since we don't have to have those brackets and stuff in the return statement, why even bother with them, right? So this is a really nice, concise way. We essentially almost even have an HTML file here, even though this is obviously not HTML, but it's pretty cool, right? This should work no problem. The only thing is now that we need to export default about, just like that. Super cool. And now let's actually modify our main layout, right? Let's make it so we don't need this stuff. Extra syntax, right? So let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of the return. Let's get rid of the bracket. And now let's move this up here and let's tab this over one. So keep in mind, this syntax here that we're using is not possible because of any sort of React or Meteor or anything. This is just ES 2015, 2016, whatever, where basically this is the arrow function allows us, if we're returning one item in particular, to simply not have the brackets in a return. So this is a really nice, concise syntax that we can use if we need it. Okay, so things just keep on getting easier here. Let's go ahead, and now what we want to do is inside of our routes, we want to import the about. So let's import about from, and then we can import that from dot / pages about. Okay. Now I can uncomment this line, and we shouldn't see any errors when we fire up our app. And keep in mind that line is simply just a route with a path of / about and a component of about, which we're now importing here from about, which we're essentially just returning this main with an h1. So now if everything's all good in your console, which it looks like mine is, you're not seeing any sort of errors, we can head to our site here. Let me maybe give this a refresh. And as you can see, the voting part works fine, but let's say if we go to about, there it is, hipster ipsum right there. Cool. Okay, so let's talk about something React Router. Let's head back and let's come to our main layout. Instead of our header, I'm simply just going to have a nav. And if you've used React Router before, you may instantly sort of know what's going on here. Now, inside of this nav, I'm only going to have 1 or 2 links. I'm not going to do this as an unordered list right now because it just seems like an unnecessary structure for this type of project. But what we can do is simply just have an anchor tag ref href here, and we can say / about. We can say, hey, have this send us to the about page. In addition, I'm actually going to wrap our level up voting. I'm going to wrap this in an anchor as well. I'm doing that because I wanted to just simply link back to the home page. Let's get rid of this. So like I said, if you've used React Router, you're probably going to see what's happening here really quickly. What we do is we can head to our app, let's click the About link, and what do we get? We get a full page reload, right? We get a white, it has to reload everything, it has to reload all the JavaScript. And this is just not cool, right? Because obviously this is all client side, right? Why would we want a router that has to reload the page every single time, especially if stuff like this isn't changing? It totally negates the benefits of using something like React Router. So let's go ahead and instead of using an anchor tag, we're using this React Router tag here. If you remember, we imported from React Router, we imported route, index route, all that stuff. This time we want to import link. So in our main layout, we're going to be importing, and then inside of brackets, link from React Router. Okay. And now link is essentially a React component, so we can replace the A here with link. And instead of href, we want to say to. We're going to link to about. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this syntax, to be honest. It seems weird to have an entirely separate thing to link. I understand why it's here. Maybe that's something that will change in the future. But here we have essentially what are links to about. Now, this actually creates a real href for us. So we has an anchor tag in the actual DOM. When we look at the DOM, let's actually go ahead and inspect here, and I can show you. In fact, you can see there is an anchor tag in the DOM here. However, this time when we click the link, none of this stuff up top here changes, and we don't have a full page refresh, I mean, this, you can tell it's so much faster. It's not having to reload all that stuff. This is great. So we now have some actual official routing going on. That's pretty sweet, right? I mean, granted, it took us a few videos, but that's because we were sort of going over a whole bunch of different concepts while we were doing it. Either way, we now have a layout and we have routing. Something that gets us closer to having a real working nice application here. So where do we go from here in this intermediate series, right? Now that we have routing, even though it's just sort of a pretty simple route here. What we want to do is we want to add some things into this, a little bit more groundwork stuff to actually on the Meteor side of things to get this going a little bit better in terms of allowing the application some better structure. And I don't necessarily mean file structure, but better security and structure overall. So in the next video, we're going to be going over something called Simple Schema. Now, Simple Schema recently moved to be a full Node package rather than a Meteor-specific package. This is brilliant for a lot of reasons, mostly because this package will see a lot more attention outside of just the Meteor community, making it so these skills will transfer over to other projects. Something that I would highly recommend you do, in fact, familiarize yourself with. So in the next video, we're going to be adding Simple Schema to our project and talking a little bit about why something like Simple Schema even matters. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to catch the rest of this series, head over to store.leveluptutorials.com and you can purchase this entire series right now. You can purchase it and get access to streaming or watching or whatever. Or you can become a Level Up Pro and see all videos right now as well. Watch them online or offline. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.